Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Death by Pony, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. Hopping back into our life. Last we left off, we had just gotten to the beach. We're about to have a fun time with everybody. So without further ado, let's hop into this. Alright, and in we go. Suddenly, he turned towards you as if he could feel your curiosity prodding at him. He surprised you with a kind smile. There's a reason why I've never gone to the ocean before. Baxter let that hang there and absent-mindedly brushed some sand off his thigh. He hadn't elaborated earlier, and you weren't quite sure if he was going to now. Quite quickly, it became clear that he was carefully choosing his words. Last thing you wanted was to push him.
Well,
Well, the idea of being fully immersed in the ocean is a bit frightening. It seems endlessly deep and unpredictable with powerful waves and rapid currents. And there are creatures lurking in there, some of them larger than me. It's unfathomable. You don't play with something like that.
it's
If I enter that water, I'll never return from it. The ocean will swallow me whole. That's what I think. His smile was strained under the weight of his growing nervousness. Baxter had always carried himself so calmly. This genuine vulnerability left you speechless. And then you heard Miranda screech. Your attention immediately switched over to your friends. You registered that Terry had gotten impatient and shifted her legs. The walls Miranda had been meticulously building collapsed into a wet heap of sand. She surveyed the damage critically. We're gonna have to start over on that part. Do you want to give up on this now? No way. The burial must continue. I'll try not to move anymore. Okay, if you're sure, try to fix this. Miranda started to rebury her, and Terry shot her a thumbs up. She realized too late that moving her arm was a bad idea. More of the sand on her crumbled, and Miranda put her head in her hands.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry, I've got that part. Miranda nodded at him with appreciation. They got back to work, redoubling their efforts to pile sand over the limbs of their friend. Baxter caught your eye, and you both snickered at the interruption. As it grew quiet again, you offered Baxter some words. How about we go help them before another sand disaster? I don't really like going the ocean either. There's nothing wrong with that, Baxter, being scared of the ocean. Would you want to try going just a little? I'll be there with you. Nah. He's allowed to be afraid. The tension in his expression. I will not go in the water at the beach deeper than really my waist if I don't have my bodyboard. But to be fair, I drowned when I was little, so I have a fear of water. But only the ocean, not the pool. The pool is fine. The tension in his expression gradually softened as the butt he was expecting never came. Baxter nervously flicked a few wind-blown strands of his hair out of his face.
to be honest.
To be frank, I was so afraid to admit something like that out loud in a seaside town. The entire reason to come to a place like Sunset Bird is to be here by the ocean, is it not? You got me there. It's weird to have a vacation 50 feet away from something you're scared of. People pay high prices to have all of this within walking distance. I doubt many of them are scared of it, but didn't your parents pick Sunset Bird for you? That's correct. Nodding, you found yourself staring at the rise and fall of the waves in the distance, the corner of your mouth pulled up fondly. Even if you're not as enthusiastic about the beach as other tourists, here you can still appreciate the ocean on your own terms, like what we're doing right now. Yeah, I'm having a very nice time right here, though I won't deny the view is lovely. My enjoyment is mostly because of you rather than the location. Well, that's still something. And on that note, you both fell into a relaxed bubble of silence, watching the gleaming sight of the ocean from a safe distance.
Oh, yeah.
Resembling the Kool-Aid man, she kicked herself out of the ground with gusto. Sand went flying in all directions. Terry-shaped imprint was left behind. Miranda yelled again and Cove chuckled. There probably wasn't a better way to get out of it. You didn't get to join on the burying Terry, but you didn't mind the one-on-one time you did get with Baxter was something you wouldn't have missed. You waved cheerily to your friends, and the five of you regrouped halfway between the towels and the destroyed tomb. Man, I'm ready to wash this off. Terry looked down at herself and laughed. She tried brushing the wet mushy sand off, but most of it certainly clung on. She only succeeded in moving around where it was on her. Let's finally jump in.
So great.
Man, that'd be great. The two of them eagerly turned their attention to the rest of the gang. Grandpa Baxter folded his arms and crossed his chest. Oh, don't worry about me. This is never my intention to swim. Please don't let that stop your fun. He echoed the same statement he made to you earlier that way. Wait, what?
Well,
It's simply not my preference. Terry squinted and thoroughly scrutinized him. She wasn't satisfied with his answer.
Uh-huh.
I think I get it. You're new here. You don't know what to do in the great wide sea. Just hold on to my back and I'll take you out into the water with me. While I greatly appreciate the gesture, I must decline. Are you sure? I can totally handle it. I'm a lifeguard in training. Terry, I thought you hadn't signed up yet. Shh, I will, and that's what counts.
thank you.
Yes, thank you. But it's just so sad to leave you out. You know me and Cove only became friends in the first place because we're beach people. You can be a beach man to be man. Her crestfallen gaze slid to Cove. He nodded understandingly, surprisingly. Baxter
I
chuckled.
get it.
I understand where you're coming from, and I'm sorry for any upset I might have caused, but please trust me on this one. I'm perfectly fine. I may not be much of a seafaring man, but have gone swimming before. Pools and lakes are no trouble for me. In fact, you'd guess I've done certain water-based activities that some of you might be too nervous to try. Cove's lips pursed. He raised his chin and started not too much threatened by Baxter's accusations, but insisted he would even make such a challenge.
Seriously?
Like what? I surf. I have a dad whose entire business is about water-based activities. I went on a jet ski when I was 8. What could you have done? He notably didn't mention the result of his young jet skiing adventure, and Baxter didn't show any hint of doubt about those accomplishments. Baxter straightforwardly answered the question instead. Skinny dipping. Cove's jaw dropped. The suggestion left him scandalized, and the reddest he'd ever seen him. It doesn't count. So you haven't done it then. You might want to, especially since you already enjoyed the water. It's rather liberating. Baxter was making an honest recommendation. You couldn't tell if it was his intention to come across mocking Cove's lack of experience there. However, Cove was still completely thrown. The suggestion of Baxter was even worse than implying he was more confident in the water than Cove. The silent beat was broken by Miranda's embarrassed intent, stifling her giggles with the palm of her hand. Her cheeks had grown flushed, and you knew it would be a while until she was confident enough to even dare make eye contact with Baxter again. Terry, meanwhile, gave Baxter an impressed nod, and then instantly lost all composure. She fell into a boisterous fit of laughter, holding tightly onto her own stomach. You were amused too? You were even more nervous about it than Randy? You didn't think it was a big deal? Personally, it was TMI. Skinny dipping is fun. I've done it once. It's a great time. I don't think it's that big a deal. So, you took another lap around your friend's dramatic reactions before catching Baxter's attention. It was a little silly to find that so shocking, especially coming from
Is
Baxter.
that fine?
Did I say something wrong? The playful note in his voice told you everything you needed to know. Baxter was fully aware and enjoyed the bit of chaos he unleashed on the group. You exhaled deeply and did not comment. No one else added anything on the topic of Baxter's skinny dipping adventures either. It was back to the drawing board on what to do next. After a while, the gang initially decided it would be best to go do something that was not water-based. The 5 of you continued to have a good time and went on a shell hunt. Miranda managed to find the biggest. We found the most colorful. Cove cut a tiny crib. You did a bit of everything. There were impromptu games to just soaking up each other's company. However, after a while, all had run out of water, and drinkable water anyway. It was decided that you'd head to Cove's house or yours. Things were gathered up and you started cheerfully walking up the road. What next? I don't have anywhere to go, so it could be whatever.
Yeah?
Same, I guess. We can keep hanging out. Terry snorted and readjusted her grip on her things. Don't sound too sure there, Cove. By this point, you could see your house. It hadn't taken you long to make the trip. The conversation continued, with everyone throwing out suggestions. Are people hungry? She looked from face to face in inspection. Cove Miranda shrugged in Concerned Baxter didn't react. No one was overly opposed to it. However, you weren't really starving. It wasn't quite mealtime. We could get dessert. Miranda put a finger to her lip and thought. With a smile, her voice became more confident. Yeah, that would be fun. Terry considered it and then shot Miranda a thumbs up. Sounds great to me. I can definitely go for that. You know, I'm up for more. When the topic of dessert was raised, Baxter hummed in interest. This caught everyone's attention, as nothing else had drawn a comment from him in a while.
What do you think?
If that is the next event, would we be willing to try ice cream and similar frozen treats? I like the sound of that. But why? Baxter shook his head ruefully. Truthfully, the one thing I have wanted to do while I'm here is to see an ice cream truck in person. My hometown doesn't have one, and neither is there one around my campus. It's a summer tradition that I have missed. You and Cove stared at him blank-faced. Miranda pressed her lips together and shot a glance at Terry. Her expression was like stone. That was a dramatic drop in mood. Am I being goshly touristy right now? He was entirely off in the guess. Baxter could only watch helplessly as the people around him remained unusually sober. Cove voiced the consistence of the locals. I've never been to an ice cream truck either.
What?
What, are you serious? Miranda nodded her head, and Baxter's composure shifted to incredulity. Me either.
Nope.
Same. That's a never from me as well. There isn't an ice cream truck in Sunset Bird. We have an ice cream stand on the shopping street. It's not exactly the same, but that's how it is. Oh, and sometimes we got ice cream at the park during big events that was from a cardboard box that was still not a truck. I've only gotten ice cream parlors and gotten ice cream from the freezer part of the grocery stores.
Me too.
But sometimes my family makes it homemade. Baxter grinned for once on the same ground as his new companions. I've normally only eaten at restaurants after meals. Never realized that ice cream trucks were so rare. Unexpectedly, Cove was the first to agree with Baxter. He narrowed his eyes and spoke firmly. Yeah, let's find a truck. I've got to do it at least one time. Yeah, Baxter's onto something. We've all been missing out. Terry raised her fist into the air, dramatic pose. There has to be an ice cream truck somewhere in California. We have a plan. Baxter brightened more, seeing his suggestion received support. Miranda smiled at him. You could only guess at her first impression of Baxter, but given how she had relaxed around him, you imagined he was growing on her. He wasn't as exceedingly self-assured as he came across first blush, but it was nicer when Baxter was confident.
Let's do it.
That sounds fun. Let's look it up. Miranda reached into her bag and dug around for her phone. She pulled out a hair scrunchie, a small notepad with unicorns, and a bundle of chunky keychains. Her phone remained elusive. Just give me a sec. The rest of the group mouth pulled into attentive, hopeful grins. There was an air of slight disbelief. Cove molded over while tapping his foot. Wherever it is, we're gonna have to drive to get there. I think so. None are in town, right? And everywhere else is far away. She finally retrieved her phone and started to search on maps, and she tapped the screen with a frown.
I'm not sure.
It's already late afternoon, too. I wonder if ice cream trucks are even still going around. We have to believe it is. It's too soon to give up. Cove nodded, patting his pockets. They were tellingly empty. I'll get my keys.
It's doable.
No need, allow me. I asked to do this. It's only fair that I be the one to cover transportation. Besides, it's a rental. We may as well make the most of it while I have it. All right. Cove raised his shoulders in bewildered shrug. Baxter ran his fingers through his hair, swiped his bangs, and they fell exactly back into place after. I will return in only a moment. Terry shot him a thumbs up, and Miranda mumbled, absent-mindedly focused on her task. Baxter flipped towards his condo and headed off, his strides long and determined.
Oh.
Cove raised his voice and up Baxter's back. We'll put our stuff away while you're off doing that. Baxter peered over his shoulder and answered.
Good.
Very good. Baxter was soon out of sight, and Cove had gathered up all his things into a sturdy hold. He gestured with his chin to his house. We can use my place for storage. You were on board with that. You shifted your things around so they'd be more comfortable to move. Thanks, Cove. You're so lucky your dad doesn't care about how much sand you're always dragging into the house. My moms are not like that. Yeah, I am lucky. Cove led the group to file into the Holden house. Miranda brought up the rear, stumbling behind Terry, and she was being led by the arm while still keeping her eyes on her phone. Sandy towels were dropped in a heap on the living room, one after the other. No one wasted even a second with organization. Tess taking cues from Cove's rush. I need a minute. Gotta grab a shirt. He darted down the hall and stepped loud on the hard floor. You straightened out your shirt, suddenly conscious of what was on your own body after Cove brought up the topic. Cove returned, now decent in his Orca t-shirt. Terry hooked her arm around Miranda's and used her other hand to wave towards the window. When you got out, you could see Baxter's shiny black vehicle idling on the street while awaiting its passengers. Cove went for a seat in the back without consideration. He was not going to be in the front. But yeah, I would. With you going to the passenger seat, Miranda and Terry followed Cove.
Hello.
Welcome to my car, friends. Do we know where we're going? Miranda nodded slightly and leaned forward, holding up her phone. Her persistence had been fruitful. There's some suburbs surrounding the city where ice cream trucks have routes during the summer. I can't tell exactly where they're going to be when we get there, though. That is more than enough. The two of you conferred on directions until Baxter decided to route towards a random neighborhood street in the area as a starting point. He took off, the car gliding across the road with minimum vibration affecting the cabin. It was the smoothest ride you'd ever had in a vehicle. In the heat of the excitement, Terry reached up front in the middle seat and punched on the music. It connected to Baxter's song list, and your eardrums were struck by pounding of regular drum. A guitar riff shrieked out afterwards. It was on a punk metal track. Excuse me, can the music be changed? You turn the music up even louder. Can the music return? You covered your ears. You leaned back in your seat, satisfied. Louder. The fancy speaker system showed off, utterly encasing you in the vibrations of sound. Baxter bobbed his head to the bass. As the drive continued, the music brought an almost surreal feel to the trip. The shredding guitars and shouting lyrics were a weird contrast to your goal of finding an ice cream truck. It inserted the humorous metal picture of an ice cream truck playing screaming punk metal instead of twinkling tunes to summon children for icy treats. Zipping through the length of Sunset Bird in no time, you flew past a now leaving sign. Past that, the car zoomed down the open road while Miranda attempted to dig up more details on the elusive ice cream trucks. Do they have any socials? Maybe someone tagged them in a pic, or their live tweeting. Why would an ice cream truck be on Twitter? And I can't even find out their hours for sure. I believe in you. Minutes added up, as did the miles. Cities got closer, but the shadows closed in faster. The sun glinted from behind distant skyscrapers, calling late afternoon was being generous. It was evening. Unspoken tension began to form. The odds of an ice cream truck being active dropped with every passing second, but Miranda continued the search and Baxter kept driving. As planned, he turned off the highway and followed the streets into the heart of the suburbs. He rolled through the neighborhoods aimlessly until... Yes! Miranda beamed and shoved her phone up front. You found one? There's a truck that's still open and nearby. It was on Facebook. If we go down their route, we'll find it at some point. Amazing.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, who uses Facebook? People who want ice cream. Let's go. Please direct me. I can't read the post. First, take a left at this next stop sign. Baxter clicked off the music to focus on Miranda's words. He also opened his window. Terry and Cove followed Baxter's lead, but Terry couldn't get further and pushed her head out the window as far as the boat would let her, hands cupped around her ears. Cove leaned farther out when he saw anything kind of truck shape. Everyone had their ears and eyes open for any signs of an ice cream truck was somewhere in the area. They weren't going to miss it. I love head out window time. You pressed down the first button you saw on the door before realizing it was seat warmer. With a laugh, you turned it back off and finally found what opened the window. It was sleek and unobtrusive as the rest of the machines that made it tricky to see when you didn't know where to look. You pushed off the floor of the car and then twisted into position with your head going straight through the opening. At such a slow pace, the wind coming through whipped at your hair gently, pleasantly, much less nicely. A fine dust blew in from the street. He squinted again. The dirt and sun. It had sunk low enough to be perpendicular with your eye line. Still no truck to be seen. The houses you passed seemed older, probably built decades ago. Some had colorful lawns, decorations, and well-kept flower gardens. Others were nothing but green grass. Conversation stopped entirely once Miranda had told Baxter all he needed to know. He drove the residential street like a hunter on the prowl. The target could have been anywhere. He turned the corner. Faint laughter floated in through the windows. You heard birds chirping and rustling leaves, but in that moment, none of that mattered. That's not what you needed. Fingers were crossed, breaths held. Baxter turned yet again towards the sign of life. A new sound gradually floated in from the distance. He concentrated on high-pitched jingle tunes. Was it? It had to be. It was the music calls from an ice cream truck. Nobody could see it yet, despite there being watchers on all sides, but the sound got louder. Baxter followed persistently, his fingers tightening their grip on the wheel. The jingle was the Pied Piper, and everyone was drawn in by it. The car came up to a crossroads and then stopped. That instant, clamor filled the car. Everyone, even the ever-relaxed Baxter, cheered or gasped in sync. The ice cream truck drove right by in front of your very eyes. It was technically white, but covered with so many brightly colored pictures, the original paint was more of an accent. Stickers with warnings such as "Go slow" and "Watch for children" stood out in red in recognizable characters. Double versions were in grid labeling them as A1 or C3 for convenient ordering. It was like a moving treasure chest of frozen goods, and the temptation was too strong for some. Still, the middle of the intersection's Cove's door popped open, and his seatbelt zipped up against the cushion with nothing left to protect. Cove was gone. We're gonna wait for Baxter. Terry and Miranda went after Cove. Terry, with the usual exuberance, yelled, "Oh yeah!" Well, I appreciate their enthusiasm. He glanced at you, not taking the turn just yet. Are you going? No thanks.
Good.
You're very polite. You didn't think it was much. You weren't so impatient that you'd throw yourself out on the street or abandon the one who drove you out there. The rest of them could handle that. Cove jogged after the truck. Terry cheered and waved, trying to catch the driver's attention. Miranda skipped behind her, moving her arms in wide motion. The truck lurched to a stop. They'd done it. Excellent. Excitement was playing on his face. Baxter cautiously turned to where the truck and your friends had gone. He parked on the opposite end of the nearly empty street. Baxter grinned as he finally unbuckled. Shall we? You know, after all this trouble we went through to get here, I'll have to think about that one. Baxter snorted and clapped his hands over his mouth. Okay, time to get that ice cream. He left the properly stopped vehicle across the street together. The other three huddled around the large menu pasted on the broad side of the truck. As you joined the group, you could feel the anticipation of a kid on their birthday, except it was somehow everybody's birthday at the same time. Up close, you could see the images were faded and they weren't as vibrant as they should have been, and chips of paint were flaking off. If anything, the wear and tear increased the charm. It was real, and it was just what you had imagined. You were finally experiencing a quintessential summer ritual. The order window lifted, and the driver gave you a hearty grin. Okay, so firstly, let's see here. We have the ice cream sandwich. Let's see here. More ice cream sandwiches with different wafers. Those look like snow cones. Those kind of look like the Crybaby cups, which were sour ice cream. Or that could probably be it. That looks like an ice cream bar. I don't see a fudge bar. That looks like the watermelon pop, like the Rocket Pops. But obviously, oh look, that looks like the Tweety Bird pop, kinda. Like, you look, there's the head and the eyes, and you obviously can't see the beak. I was about to say, I don't think I see any characters, but I am apparently wrong. But that's so cool. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, remember to hit like. That way I know you're enjoying the content making. Remember to subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back here to see what happens next. And I won't take up any more of your time. Have a good day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.